what is up, guys? Welcome to the channel. My name is Brian. If you are new here, then here on this channel I talk about cameras and YouTube and things like that. If you're interested in watching me grow, then think about hitting the subscribe button down below. Also, today we are going to be talking about the SONY NEX5R. This camera with the new updates that Sony gave to it a while back. They ain't necessarily new, but with those new updates, this camera has autofocus in video, which I thought is pretty amazing. So I went ahead and picked it up. It is a pretty cheap camera. I got it for about 90 bucks, but you can find them all the time on Facebook Marketplace and things like that, anywhere from $100 to $300. And today I want to compare these two cameras. I'm shooting on the SONY FX3. Now the SONY FX3 is about a $5,000 setup compared to a $100 to a $300 setup. Now, I know that is a big difference, but I think that this camera is going to be pretty awesome to compare to the SONY FX3 to show you what you can get for 100 or 300 bucks, and to show you that when you're shooting in HD on this camera and HD on this camera and basic picture profile, they basically are almost going to look the same. Now, I will use the 8-bit codecs in the SONY FX3 and not the 10-bit codecs when I am comparing these two. That way we have the closest comparison possible. They'll both be shooting in HD, and the SONY FX3 has an all-eye codecs, and so does the NEX5R. So I hope you enjoy this comparison. Let's get into it. So what's up? So what you just seen is a montage of these two cameras, kind of comparison them together, you know, with some motion and things like that. I was recording in 10-bit on the SONY FX3 there for a minute, so everything you see from here on out is actually going to be in 8-bit codecs, and that is what we are in right now. We're in HD on the SONY FX3, and we're in 24 frames per second, 1/50th shutter. And everything's going to be shot in HD, like I was saying. That's because this camera only shoots in HD, so I want to be a fair comparison. And like I said earlier in the video, everything will be in 8-bit codecs from here on out. Let's get into it. Yep. Alright guys, what is up? So this is a quick vlog test on the SONY NEX5R. And I really can't see myself. The screen does have a little bit of, I don't want to say discoloration, but it's kind of messed up. All right, so this is a vlogging test. I just wanted to quickly show you that. You just see me vlogging on the SONY FX3. This is what this looks like. This is the SONY NEX5R with the 18 to 55 OSS on it. So it's a pretty basic lens, pretty basic setup. This is the audio that you hear coming out of it. I am going to turn on the audio with the iPhone so you can hear what it sounds like when you have a proper mic. Alright guys, so this is what it sounds like when you have a proper mic with this setup. Once again, I don't know which video I said this in, but this camera does not have an audio jack for you to plug external microphones into. So that's why I'm holding my cell phone up to me with a microphone. Obviously the cell phone's got a microphone in it, but this is what it sounds like. This is what it sounds like without one. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and put the cameras on a tripod and compare the 24 frames per second, the 60 frames per second, and things like that. Right here, we're shooting in 24 frames per second in HD in the highest megabytes per second, which is only 28, guys. And then they have another setting, which is even lower than that. But then when you move around with this camera and you're in the lowest settings, megabytes per second wise, it is very like the camera can't keep up with the information, so it looks very blurry. I can't tell if you've seen some of that right here while I'm vlogging, but like I said, I have seen it definitely when I'm in the lowest megabytes per second settings. All right, let's get set up on a tripod and compare these two. All right guys, what is up? So this is both cameras in 24 frames per second. The SONY NEX5R is at 28 megabytes per second. The SONY FX3 is at 24 frames per second. They are in both 8-bit codecs, and also the Sony FX3 is shooting at 50 megabytes, or no, I'm sorry, I think it's 89 megabytes per second. If I got that wrong, I will put that right here in the bottom of the screen. But this is what 24 frames per second looks like in both of these cameras comparison. Now, as far as lenses go, I have the 17 to 28 millimeter on the FX3, and on the Sony NEX 5R, I have the 18 to 55, and it is at f4. We got a biker going by, messing our audio up. Okay guys, back at it. The Sony NEX has the 18 to 55 on it, and it is at f4. The Sony FX3 has the 17 to 28 on it, like I was saying, and it's at f2.8. And how does it look? How's it look, Hadley? I know you can't always see on the NEX, but the cameras look pretty good. And we'll really see in post how well they actually compare to one another. Now, I'm seeing that the NEX is probably sitting maybe just a tad bit lower, but other than that, I think these cameras are gonna look pretty decent together. Now, I bought the NEX camera for a B cam. That was the whole purpose of buying that cam, a B cam or a C cam really. So like when I'm trying to get top down footage when I'm in the studio and things like that, that is the whole purpose I bought this camera for. But I'm doing this comparison so you can see that you don't always have to have a $5,000 setup. That is one thing that I am learning myself, is that you don't have to have the most expensive camera to do YouTube. All right guys, so what we're gonna do next here is switch over to 60 frames per second, and I am going to actually take them off the tripod and do some moving so we can have some slow motion for you guys. Let's do it. Alright guys, so I think that's going to be it for this video. We did some 24 frames per second video, some 60 frames per second, and you've seen it all. Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. I'm not no Gerald Undone, but I do try to give some real world examples of how you could use a $100 to $300 camera and kind of, you know, use it with your expensive setup like I'm trying to do. Or, you know, if you can't afford a real expensive camera, then you can use something that's like $100 to $300. Just remember, if you get one of these cameras, make sure you do the update to it, guys. And just hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please think about hitting the subscribe button, the like button, all that good stuff. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.